This girl met this man 13 days ago, and your biggest issue with them getting married is the fact that you weren't involved in the engagement, not that she's getting married to a man she met 13 days ago. Mama, you got priorities jumbled up. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Lovey with Nee. I'm your girl Nee, and today's video is a review recap of episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Love is Blind. If you haven't already, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, also ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright you guys, so we open up the episode and we're still with Taylor and Daniel, and we're trying to get down to the nitty gritty if Daniel followed Taylor on Instagram and somehow knew all there was to know about Taylor to get a leg up in the race before they entered this experiment. Now, let me say this. I do see a world where Daniel did follow Taylor on Instagram, and I think it's one of those things where he followed her, he saw her, he was like, ooh, she's cute, hit the follow button. She saw the follow request, she went and looked at his profile and was like, I'm really not that interested, I'm not gonna go follow back. And because she didn't follow him back, maybe he then unfollowed her. Like, I could see that world, but I don't see a world where he's like, let me study her IG and know all there is to know about her so I can win her over in this experiment. I won't put it, I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, people are crazy, so if that was the scenario, I wouldn't be surprised. But honestly, I'm reading Daniel's energy, I'm reading his vibe, and I really just don't think that that's the case. So anyways, they're sitting here and talking, and they're getting this awkward silence. The producers tell them like, hey, I can give you your cell phone so you can go check, because she does have the unfollow app, which I haven't seen or heard of that since I was in college like 10 years ago. So that was wild to me that someone in 2025 still has like the unfollow app, but that's not why we're here today. Okay, so they're sitting there, she's like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi? And they're waiting for somebody to give them the Wi-Fi, and in unison they go Bueller. And if anybody knows, that's from what's that movie called? Bueller's Day Off, where it's a Christmas movie. Ironically, they love Christmas, so it's no surprise to me that they can quote that movie at any point. And y'all, this is just, I don't know. I feel like this was probably played up. This was give it a little razzle dazzle. Long story short, she doesn't find his name on the unfollow list, and they smooth it over. Even with all the accusations, I will say that Daniel is so sweet, he's so supportive, and he just tells her like, hey, if you are uncomfortable going on this honeymoon with me, we don't have to go, we can go home. I'm here to do whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. And ultimately, they decide to go on the honeymoon, and that is just water under the bridge. So we're gonna move forward from that. This season, the couples go to Honduras for the honeymoon, and after all of the Taylor and Daniel drama, we just do quick jumps from couple to couple as they're getting settled in to spend their time together on this honeymoon. We first see Devin and Virginia, and they are sitting on two opposite sides of the Mississippi River, okay? Virginia's on the east side of the Mississippi River, Devin's on the west side of the Mississippi River, and there's just so much space in between the two of them. Honestly, I don't blame them. I've talked to you through a wall for like 10 days. I really don't know you. So the fact that they're kind of distanced from each other, that to me doesn't really bother me, because I feel like their closeness will come as a relationship develops in person. You just can't expect somebody to be snug as a bug in a rug with someone who is ultimately a stranger. But Devin's sitting there, he's talking, he's throwing out compliments to Virginia left, right, and he even tells her like, hey, I'm throwing out compliments to you so I can get a compliment in return. And Virginia gives Devin exactly what she was given in the pods, which is nothing. So I don't know why he thinks Virginia would be different outside of the pods versus what she was inside the pods. She's keeping it consistent. So we get to Lauren and Dave, and Lauren is talking about how she got a wax and now she can't get her wig split. This conversation was really random, and I wonder if it was taken out of context, because it just really didn't make sense to me. And when she said like, oh, we can't partake in this, the way that he was just not expressive about her saying that makes me feel like it was an edit. So really awkward, really weird conversation, but you know, they are really awkward and weird people, so if it wasn't an edit, I wouldn't put it past them. So we get to Ben and Sarah, and honestly, they seem the most lovey-dovey out of all the couples. They're kissing, they're touching, they're hugging, they're doing all the things, and honestly, out of all the couples this season, they are the most affectionate by far and seem the most like physical, if you get what I mean. Like Taylor and Daniel, they're cute, they talk, and they have a real intimate, like emotional connection, but I honestly haven't seen the touchy feely with them either. Virginia and Devin, like I just said, she's on the east side, he's on the west side, and we for sure are not seeing any lovey-dovey, touching, feeling nothing with Joey and Monica. So we're with Daniel and Taylor, and they are in their room unpacking and talking about Christmas, and Daniel goes and uses the bathroom. When he finishes, he comes out, and Taylor has to tell him to wash his hands. Now, wait. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe it was the nerves that caused him to forget. I'm going to give him some grace in that. But if I see it twice, if I see it thrice, I'm going to have to believe that it's in you, not on you. Okay, Daniel? Wash your hands after you use the bathroom. That's just, come on. Like, come on. I would have felt better if he would at least just ran the water on it. Like, I can't stand when my patients do that. But at least he made an effort to, at minimal, put some water on his hands. We're with Monica and Joey, and they are on the beach, and they are talking like two really good friends, okay? They do not give me romance at all, and honestly, at this present point in time, I don't think that they're gonna get married. They just don't seem attracted to each other. I guess that's the best way to say it. I feel like when you're attracted to I'm stuttering. When you're attracted to someone, you kind of automatically just want to go and like touch and caress and feel on them. And neither one of them are doing it. Like at bare minimum, hold hands. They aren't even doing that. So intimacy is a very important part of a relationship, and it's just not, doing, there are other ways to be intimate with your partner outside of that, and they don't even do that. So it's really hard for me to see them in a committed relationship together when those significant things lack, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. I don't really know if I even like them as a couple, to be honest, to say, oh, I hope they figure it out. It doesn't sway me one way or the other if they do or don't get married. I like them both individually, but I don't think I really like them together. Dave and Lauren, meh. We'll move on from them. I don't even have a note about them. My note literally says meh. So y'all know at this point, I'm not here for Dave. So we're with Ben and Sarah, and I'm assuming they are getting ready for bed, but in the middle of all this, Ben brings out a fan. Like an entire fan. And I was like, I don't know, that really tickled me. That was just really funny to me and so random, but anyways, moving on from Ben and Sarah. So we're back to Monica and Joey, and they are laying down in bed together. And y'all, even in bed, like even with them looking and doing pillow talk in the bed, they just don't seem into each other. There's just nothing, there's no spark there. It doesn't even look like there's a want to. You get what I'm saying? Like there's something missing, and maybe this is how they are in relationships, so I won't be too judgy on that front. But at surface level, like I've said before, I just don't think they're gonna make it long term. All right, so we're back with Devin and Virginia, and they seem like they're getting a little bit closer. They're starting to be a little bit more comfortable with each other, a little less awkward. We're touching, we're kind of, scooting up under each other a little bit better. So it seems like their relationship is starting to evolve, which is really nice to see. You know what I'm saying? Like they are starting to really start to feel each other, and I'm liking the progression of their relationship. Dave and Lauren, they're in the bed cuddling. So we get home videos from all the couples after their first night together, and everybody seems like they're doing pretty good. So, so far so good. We'll keep trucking on and see how the rest of the trip goes. So Devin and Virginia, they are getting a couples massage, and then after that they take a romantic walk on the beach, and they're just talking about each other's family and questioning who's going to get along with who. And Devin tells us that he feels like things with him and Virginia are just very easy. So like I said, they're progressing very well. Dave and Lauren are having lunch together, and throughout this entire interaction, I feel like something is off. It seems like they're walking on eggshells. It's just very uncomfortable, very kind of like forceful, like the vibes are not vibing. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know, like something about their interaction in this date just makes me feel like something's going on. But anyway, they do like the little dunk tank, and Lauren knocks Dave in the water like on her second try, and I was like, you go girl, okay? You knock that man in that water. Daniel and Taylor are mixing and mingling. They are walking within the town of Honduras, and they sit down, and Taylor apologizes to Daniel yet again about the Instagram mishap, and Daniel's just very understanding. He tells her like, hey, it's cool, it's fine, let's leave that in Honduras and move forward with our relationship. Joey and Monica are at dinner, and Joey explains the origin of his OCD. Now, I don't remember him talking about having OCD in the pods. However, I did skim through a lot of the pod episodes, so I definitely could have missed it. Anyways, he goes on to say that there was a lot of things within his life growing up that were out of his control. So the things that he did have power over, he obsessed over it, and that's essentially how the OCD came about. He decided against medication and decided to go with exposure therapy instead, and he says that ultimately he had a willpower to just overcome it, and he did. So kudos to Joey. Devin and Virginia, they're in the swimming pool, and it was getting a little hot and heavy, okay? I was covering my eyes because I'm not grown enough to watch what was happening in that pool, all right? Lauren and Dave. All right, my one and only question to Dave is, do you like Lauren? Do you like the young lady? Because it does not seem like he does. Lauren tells us that she was talking to someone before the show, and that Dave's friend of a friend somehow knows this guy, right? And when I hear this and I see the distress in Dave's face, I say, that's his way out. That is going to be his out. That is what it's going to be a big problem, and it's going to prevent Dave from getting married to Lauren. Dave brings up talking to Molly and asks Lauren if she's worried about that. He also says that he's been thinking about Molly, and he's telling this to Lauren as well. And I'm going to give a little bit of grace. I'm going to give a little bit of grace to Dave, and it's killing me to say this because I'm not Team Dave by the least. But I'm going to give a little bit of grace because the situation surrounding these circumstances are very unconventional. And I don't want to be ignorant to think that none of the other guys are not thinking about the other women that they had connections with in the pods. My problem with Dave is, don't tell this to your partner and use it as a weapon. And I think that that's the part of what Dave is saying to Lauren that makes me uneasy, is he's saying this and using it as a dagger to kind of get at her. You know what I'm saying? It would be different if he was talking and saying like, hey, I have these reservations, I'm having I'm trying to work things out. But he's like, are you worried about that? Does that bother you? Like, don't say these things to a woman and then flip it and reverse it and say like, do you have a problem? Like, sir, yeah, I'm gonna have a problem with that. Like, yes, that's going to bother me. But anyways, nonetheless, we're here. She chose him, and we're gonna move on to episode 8. Ben and Sarah. Ben mentions that Sarah keeps the tags on her clothes. And I have a couple questions, okay? Really just one. Does she keep the two? I have two. Does she keep the tags on her clothes while she's wearing them? She buys a shirt, she tucks the tag, she goes out into the environment, she comes back home. Or does she keep the tags on until she's about to wear whatever item? Because that's what I do. I will buy something, put it in my closet with a tag on, and then when I get ready to wear it, I pop the tag and then I put the item on. My husband is the complete opposite. When he gets home, honestly, when we're in the car driving home, he's popping the tag off that item. So I just want clarity on which way Sarah goes, so then I can make an accurate analysis of the situation, because whichever one she does gives a different viewpoint. Ben says that he washes his hair once every 2 weeks and his bed sheets on the same routine. And I don't find that to be true. Ben doesn't come across as a once every 2 week bed sheet washer, in my humble opinion. He's like a once a month bed sheet washer, in my humble opinion. Now, he may wash his hair once every 2 weeks, which I do have some Caucasian friends that wash their hair every couple of days. Very few, there's not any that I know, and I'm going through my Rolodex, that washes their hair that go with more than a week without washing their hair. I think that's very taboo in that community, but I could be wrong. We're going to move off that. All the couples meet for the first time, and Dave is just getting on my nerves. He could breathe funny, and I think that it would bother me. But anyways, he is going around and asking all the people about their intimacies. And I really don't like how he asked Devin about what he and Virginia had going on. And Devin's like, no, we haven't crossed that bridge. Like, that's not a part of our relationship right now. And then Dave almost immediately goes to Virginia and asks her the same thing. And I'm just going to say it like this. To me, that's disrespectful. Like, you don't, if you're going to talk about this and talk about it with my partner, you don't have to about face and then come around and talk to me. A man asking a woman about this gives me creep. It gives me predator. And the fact that these women are answering the question also gives me concern. I think that this experiment kind of takes away a lot of common sense, because in the real world, if somebody were to come up to me and ask me intimate questions like that, I would call the police. Okay? The security guard at a minimum, right? Because that is just inappropriate and unacceptable. Now, let me play devil's advocate just a small, like a tidbit. It's different if he's asking to get advice, right? If he was asking like, hey, are y'all doing this? What do you think that I could do to make her want to get with me? I can answer that question, and I'm not even one of them. Stop being insulted and stop being rude is one, but hey, this ain't my show. I've said that before. Going back to the subject at hand, it's different if he's asking for advice, but it seems to me like he's just asking to compare, and that it's just creepy. It's just creepy. I am very happy, though, that Taylor kind of called him out when he was seemingly criticizing Lauren. So I really do like kudos to Taylor for, sticking up for Lauren in that moment. Nonetheless, all the couples seemingly had a good time and got along well with one another. So, it was a very uneventful couples meeting. In the past, we've had more drama-filled things. Maybe that's why production. You know what? Production probably told Dave to go around and asking everybody so we could get a little sauce, a little seasoning up in this thing. But it is what it is. Whatever. We're going to move on from that. Dave and Lauren are having a conversation, and I can't remember exactly what they were talking about. I think it was something along the lines on if, the family didn't like her or something like that. Now, Dave tucks tail and cowers like a little puppy dog when it comes to talking about his sister and her acceptance of him and his partner. But he has so much air in his chest when he talks about his dad. And that energy, like, that is just so... Who is his sister, and why is this relationship so weird? Seemingly weird. I'm starting to think maybe he doesn't even have a sister. Like, that's where, like, I feel like he's making it all up. I really feel like or if he does have a sister, she don't really care as much as he's trying to make it seem like she cares. I don't know. Something in the buttermilk ain't clean, and it's upsetting me and my homegirls. That is the end of the honeymoon, and all the couples are packing up, and they go back home. So we open up the home scene back in the States with Joey and Monica. And Monica low-key seems like a hoarder, okay? She says that she likes collecting knickknacks. And when I hear people say I like knickknacks, I immediately think hoarder. And Joey almost has a seizure. He is like, oh my, a knickknack? Like, he's like, I'm very minimal. And I think that is going to be a problem. Joey admittedly is OCD. He does have some, and still has, and is working through, OCD. And Monica seems to be a little, I don't want to say sloppy, messy. She seems to be a little messy and maybe a little lackadaisical when it comes to certain things. And I'm going to tell you right now, two extremes may not mesh. It may not mesh. We saw it with Tim and Alex. Like, as soon as Tim saw Alex's place, he's like, oh golly, no, I can't do it. But anyways, so Monica tells a story of how she had a spider in the crotch of her jeans because she told this story and Joey about fell out his seat. He handled it very well, but you could just see the terror behind his eyes. And honestly, that is gross. That is gross. I do like that he expresses the cleanliness or lack thereof from Monica could be a problem for him. And it's not no might. It is gonna be a problem. Monica also goes to mention that she and her family have a community sock bin. They just all grab socks out of the bin and just wear it whenever. And Joey had to do a factory reset. He was like Y'all do what? I'm with Joey. That's a little odd. I don't want to wear my people's socks. If I ever let somebody borrow a pair of socks of mine, keep them. I don't want them back. Dave and Lauren are talking about how their families now know that they are engaged. And Dave tells Lauren that the whole world, Craig, knows that about their engagement. And people are having a problem with that. And how do they know? How do they know? That to me, he is full of it. And you know what it is. And Dave, Virginia and Devin, they go and see Devin's apartment, and she sees his shoe collection, and she was like, sir, how much do these shoes cost? Like, how much is this gonna run me? Okay. He talks about how he spends, $700 maybe a month on shoes, and she kind of gets a look of terror in her eyes. They also go on to talk about finances, which I think is a great segue on how she kind of introduced that in. Virginia mentions that when they decide to get a place together, that she doesn't want to move into another apartment, that if they're going to be moving in together and saving and doing like all the financial responsible things, that she would much rather them move into a house, which makes a lot of sense. He talks about how he is currently a program director and he is working towards being a CEO and eventually have his own gym and coach varsity ball. Now, I thought he was already the CEO of this company. Anyways, they mentioned having separate accounts, and Virginia does want a prenup. Devin seems very hesitant. Very, very hesitant at this prenup, but he does appear a little open-minded, like a little bit okay with the thought. He just seems like he's, just weighing all the thoughts about having a prenup in his brain. Virginia does mention, hey, if your student loans, if this debt, if that debt is affecting how we're trying to move and what we're trying to build as a couple, I don't mind helping you with that as long as it makes sense. And I 100% agree and understand with what Virginia's saying. And in any relationship, if there's one person who has the financial means to help the partner out, to help you guys grow together in your relationship, then why wouldn't you? However, I agree with that with somebody not somebody you've known for like 10 to 13 days. We are with Dave and Lauren, and we're in Dave's apartment. Lauren mentions that her dad was against her brothers living with their significant others before they got married, and she says that she thinks she knows that her and Dave are living together. And I'm not gonna hold you, I'm with Dave. Dave's like, hey, this is something that he needs to know for actual factual, okay? We don't need to surprise him and spring it on him that we are living together. So please make sure that he is well aware. Don't, bring him into the lion's den and have all these emotions coming up, when we meet each other. I'm 100% with Dave on that. Dave does mention that the guy that Lauren used to date lives in the building that they moved into, and that the guy was trying to contact her, and there has just been a lot of back and forth because his friends know the guy and now his sister knows, and just blah 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 blah. It's just too much. Moving on. We meet Monica's family, and Monica's sister, I can't remember her name, immediately goes to Joey and is like, why are you single? And Joey's like, Monica knows all about this, but I guess I'll tell you too. I'm single because I had a lot of bad relationships, but technically I'm not single because your sister is my boo. And I was like, I know that's right, Joey. Anyways, they have a fam jam, and Monica seems like she is mortified, but Joey is loving it. He is just merging right in with her family, and it seems like he is just really supportive of Monica and just having a good time with her family. Monica and her sister are outside, and they're having a chit chat. And Monica's sister is like, it's weird to see you have a man, and I don't really think he's your type. She questions his personality, his intentions, and just being compatible with one another. I thought that she was being concerned until she said, I'm the oldest and I'm supposed to get married first. And to which I responded and immediately thought, oh, okay, there's a little bit of hater in that. I do think there may have been some truth in what her sister was saying because we all see it. They do not seem compatible. However, it's hard to not see what Monica's sister is saying as the truth because her jealousy seems to be overpowering that. That's where the episode ends, and so we're just going to move along with that. So here we are with episode 9. If you made it this far in this video, please give me a thumbs up, and also go ahead and subscribe, okay? Come on in the room and join my family, all right? We don't have fam jams over here. We might. You never know what you're going to get with Lil V with me, all right? So just come on, hit the subscribe button so you can join in and all the crazy too. Daniel and Taylor, we get to meet Daniel's family, and the family is just asking them about their experience in the pods, and Taylor is telling his family that he would always say, I'm right here with you. And that's something that also stood out to me about Daniel. I think I mentioned that before in another review, that his wording, it just makes you feel. It just makes you feel. His mother talks about how because their daughter is blonde, they kind of like this experiment. So in this situation, this is like the one situation where I'm like, the family being okay with this is okay. Because essentially, I was about to say Dave. What's his name? Daniel's sister is blonde, and this is how she's always had to live her life. And so the family is like, I'm glad you get to just experience just a semblance of what she's had to go through, because this has been our life, and helping her navigate in this way is not something that's taboo to us. Taylor mentions how her family is a little hesitant with this experiment, and Daniel's family is just like, hey, we understand, and we get them not accepting this. We're accepting it because our world is different from what they've experienced. But give your family some grace and give them some time, because this situation is not normal at all. And they welcome her into the family, and I just want to say that Daniel's family just seems so sweet. I want to go have dinner with them. Like, they just seem so nice, so inviting, and so very warm. Like, from the sister to the brother to the brother's girlfriend, the mom and dad, like, they just all seem very sweet and very genuine. Lauren takes David to a spin class, and he struggles through that class, y'all. he is struggling. But anyway, he does bring up Lauren dating the other guy to the friends, and the friends go to bat for her. They explain that this relationship wasn't serious, and you shouldn't really be worried about it. To everything that they say, he has a rebuttal, and he is not trying to hear it, nor does he want to understand. And I really wish somebody would clock it, and really wish somebody would point out, like, no matter what we say, no matter what the facts are or what the truth is, you have it in your brain that it's one way, and you don't care about anything else. So why are we wasting our time here? I wish somebody would say that. He does mention that he isn't in high school, that he's 32, and yet we are here gossiping, talking like we are in high school, and it's all because of you. So Virginia meets Devin's parents, and they talk about the pods, their conversations, and what drew them into one another. His mother makes a mention of faith and how important it is to them, and she raised her kids to keep God first. Devin's sister asks about kids, and Virginia does say, like, hey, I do know that I'm older. I've even considered freezing my eggs, so she is willing to do whatever needs to be done in order to have children. They also take the time to discuss finances, their plan, and mention a prenup. His family was too stunned to speak, okay? They ask her about him possibly losing his job or getting sick, and asking would she step up and help him during that time. And Virginia's like, hey, I've done a lot more for a lot less, so yes, I'm in it to win it. His brother asks, would you be okay with their parents moving into the house with Virginia when they get older and retire? Devin has 2 other siblings, so why is it that the parents have to move in with Devin and Virginia? Why can't the parents move in with either the sister or the brother? Now, my husband and I have had conversations about future planning and things like that, but that conversation, I think, is for the both of them. It doesn't have to be with the family. So the family seemingly is a little invasive. There was never a conversation of, well, Devin is established in this and he would be providing this for you, so how would you be able to combat that should he lose his job? Right? It was just like, he lost his job, you gonna take care of him? Like, girl, y'all are married. Do y'all not know how marriages work? You don't just up and leave because somebody lost their job. The daddy didn't say much of anything, and I'm gonna just leave that right there. Now, my dad is very quiet. Let me not be a hypocritical. My dad, hypocritical. Let me not be a hypocrite. My dad is very quiet. But one conversation that you're always going to get him to talk in is a conversation that involves money. Okay? My dad don't play about money. Okay? So for the fact that his dad was sitting there and said nothing, for a while there, I thought he was a mute. But then he said, I like them. They go and meet the pig, the family pig, Pico, and they're outside talking about Virginia. They say that they really like her, and they bring up the prenup yet again. And the sister says that's the only thing that she kind of gave a side eye to, because they feel like people who get a prenup are planning for divorce. And I hate that prenups have such a negative connotation to them, because it's not that you're planning for divorce. But we don't have time in this video to go into all that into detail. Ben and Sarah. Sarah meets Ben's friends. Who would have thought that Ben had such a variety of friends, but not one from a particular continent? We had all the other representations of all the other continents, but we didn't have this one. All right, so they talk about their time in the pods. They ask if they had the same core values, which is a very interesting question to ask, and they both say that they do. They talk about religion, and Sarah does mention her sister, and one of his friends says that she also is in a same-sex relationship. He also has an agnostic friend, and she talks about how Ben educated her on having faith, on the faith versus being religious. And I just have a question for Ben. How can you have such a diverse friend group and people from all different walks of life, and having all these different values and things like this, and these are people that you claim to care about, and you not care about anything that's going on in the world, because it's directly affecting people that you claim to love and have relationships with. So then how can you be ignorant to all the other stuff? That's the only thing that I would have to ask Ben. I did not expect for him to have a friend group that looked like this, but now that I see your friend group, it almost makes me judge you and side-eye you more for not being educated or involved or having an opinion about things that directly affect them. I felt like I went deep with that. Joey and Monica, they are folding clothes, and Monica just dumps the clean clothes on the floor, and Joey gets the heebie-jeebies, okay? That man starts breaking out in a rash. They're not gonna work. They're not gonna work. I am one of those people that dumps clothes out on the floor, and I know people are like, you're dumping clean clothes on a dirty floor. I don't care. As long as I barely want to fold them, okay? Dumping them out on the floor ensures that I fold them, because I'm not going to leave clothes on the floor, okay? You got to do what you got to do. There are far greater issues in the world than somebody dumping their clothes out on the floor. Now, I will not dump them out on a hardwood floor. However, the sky is the limit when it comes to carpet. Monica asked how he felt meeting her family, and Joey goes right in. He says, I don't think your sister likes me, and it's up to her whether she does or does not. And he's open to constructive criticism if there was something that he did directly to her, but her just not liking him for the sake of not liking him, he could care less about. He asked if there's ever been someone in Monica's life that her sister ever approved of, and Monica's like, no. And I think Joey's starting to clock the tea, because he goes on to mention that he thinks that there is some jealousy but from her end, and they need to talk and get it worked out. And Monica's like, yeah, maybe y'all should talk one-on-one. And Joey's like, no, I don't mind talking to her, but you two need to talk more than she and I. And I agree with Joey, because obviously there's something in their relationship right there, because if there's never been a friend, there's never been a boyfriend that's been good enough in Monica's sister's eyes, then there has to be something that is distorting her vision, and it's better for them to get it worked out now than to live with regret down the line. So, Joey clocked it. Joey seems very emotionally aware. He does seem like somebody who's going through therapy and who just like understands himself. He's very self-aware, and I really like that about Joey. Taylor and Daniel. So Daniel meets Taylor's parents, and Daniel mentions how the show reached out to him. So he didn't apply to the show reached out to him. He was a little skeptical but hopeful for the process. And so we find out that it's Taylor's mom that has the problem with them getting married, or with this whole situation. Her dad's all on board, but it's the mom that has a little pushback. And Mama pretty much says that she is feeling left out because how dare Taylor get engaged and not involve her mama. And I get Mama's point, and I understand, but at the same time, there are certain aspects of her life that you won't be privy to, and to hold it against her and to use it as a weapon is very unfair. It is not like, have your feelings, have your emotions, everyone's entitled to those, but it shouldn't be used as a weapon to Taylor. Taylor is trying to live her life. She's trying to do what she feels best, and your support, your encouragement, your wisdom is what's needed. I have another thing to say about Taylor's mom. If that's the biggest problem with this whole situation, I'm side-eyeing Taylor's mama. This girl met this man 13 days ago, and your biggest issue with them getting married is the fact that you weren't involved in the engagement, not that she's getting married to a man she met 13 days ago. Mama, you got priorities jumbled up. Okay, so the parents are here, and Taylor's mom is like, well, what do y'all think about this? She goes on to say Daniel is making a commitment, and she would like for him to take care of not only Taylor but also their future grandchildren. And Daniel's mom is kind of like, I feel you, little mama, but at the end of the day, they are adults, and they make their own decisions, and we cannot tell them what to do. I think in that moment, Taylor's mom was looking for somebody to sing in her choir, right? She wanted someone to come on her side so she can feel justified and not agreeing with what was going on. But Daniel's parents are so great. They're so supportive, and I think that they have just a way of conveying things that puts people at ease. They say how between the two sets of parents within marriage, there's 80 years of marital experience between both couples, and they would be great mentors and guidance to both to them. And I think that is absolutely right. Like, it's going to take a village, so you need insight from both sets of parents. They kind of joke around about the holidays, and they're all like, oh, we got Christmas. And I love that Daniel asked for her hand in marriage from her dad and her mom, and of course they say yes. And it was a sweet moment between them, and to me this just, like I said, solidifies that they are both definitely going to say yes. Dave and Lauren. So it seems like they are setting up for Lauren to meet his friends, and Dave mentions that his friends are on standby. To me, that's a little odd. Why are you on standby if I'm supposed to meet you? Like, you should be coming. You don't need to be sitting around waiting if I'm going to say, like, cancel at the last minute. And that right there, he does not want to marry her. He does not want to involve her. He does not want to insert her into any aspect of his life. He does not want to get married. That is where it starts. Well, he doesn't want to get married to her. That's where it starts, and that's where it ends. Everything that Dave mentions is what other people have said and what other people think. And I just want to grab him and say, make a decision. Put your big boy undies on and make a decision. This is what he did in the pods. He couldn't make a decision then. He can't make a decision now. However, not me playing devil's advocate. Okay. He is valid in his concerns. I don't foresee myself going to someone who says, oh, I have concerns, and saying, no, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong for having concerns, for being worried, or whatever the case may be. I'm not mad at Dave for saying, like, you seeing someone a week before bothers me. What bothers me about Dave is how he's going about handling it, and how he's involving every single person that will listen into what is going on in their relationship. And that is a foreshadowment, if that's a word, of what he will be like as a husband. And for me, looking at Dave, that is not somebody I would feel confident in marrying. That's not someone I would feel confident in following if he is to lead me in our relationship. And so that's where my biggest problem with Dave lies. Be a man. Like, step up and say, look, you know what, I've heard this, I've heard that, and this is what I'm thinking, and this is how I'm feeling. It shouldn't be, oh, well, my sister feels this way, my brother feels this way, my best friends feel this way. We really don't know how Dave feels because he has yet to say it. Everything, like I said, is what other people are saying and bringing in. I also want to say, like Lauren, is someone who doesn't protect you, is that who you want to marry? He has no protection over you whatsoever. He's letting his friends talk bad about you. He's letting your sister have assumptions about you. He's letting whoever else feel whatever it is that they feel about you, and he's not protecting you. He's just kind of going along with the flow and being okay with it. I really wish that Lauren would find some strength and just get up and leave. Okay? He's not going to believe anything you say. Anything that you give him, you could give him the facts in a notebook and he's going to close it and say, but no, this is what my people say. He is a follower. He does what he is told, and obviously it's his sister that's pulling the puppet strings. And it's unfortunate because it seems like Lauren really does care about him and she's just getting played like a fiddle. But also too, I have to say, Lauren, this is what you chose. This is who you chose. This is who you fought so hard to get in the pods with, or fought so hard in the pods to be with. It's just exhausting. And if I were Lauren, I would at some point I would say enough is enough. But I don't think Lauren's going to be the one to pull the plug. Dave is going to have to be the one to pull the plug. And I don't know if he will because he hadn't been doing anything else. Ben and Sarah, they're at their apartment and Sarah is scrolling on her phone and she gives the most dramatic, poor acting gasp that I've ever seen in my life. And they talk about this TikTok that this girl has been making that is talking about Ben. And the way that Ben is acting, we know that he's already seen the TikTok, okay? He already knew. And the fact that he already knew about the TikTok but didn't give Sarah a heads up about it is very suspicious to me. He also says quite a few contradictory things, like he was blocked but then she blocked him and then he blocked her. I mean, how can you block? If you block, how you re-blocking and then getting blocked? Like, it doesn't make sense. But I do see a world where people blow things out of proportions, and not to take away from the young lady and what she was feeling and her interactions with Ben. We don't know, we weren't there. However, I do know in today's society we do dramatize and we do overindulge and we do exaggerate a lot of things that go on within our life. So I like that Sarah is giving Ben the benefit of a doubt. She's like, hey, you know, I want to trust and I want to believe you, but I don't want to take away from her. But if there's anything else that's going on, you need to let me know so that I know how I want to move and how I need to move moving forward. And that is where the episode ends. All right, y'all, so that is it for today's video. We are a little over halfway through the season, and so far the episodes are picking up. It is getting so much better than where we were in the pods. If you like this video, please drop down in the comments, tell me something good. Also, give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, y'all, and don't forget to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody else to come on over and enjoy Lovey with Nee. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Yeah.